Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. I'm going to play this quick clip from the Global Doses Instagram page. And as you can see from the picture, Iron Dome failed. Iran's hypersonic missile strikes Jerusalem. And, fair use, even though no audio or, music or anything like that, but still, fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And as we're about to see in this 10-15 second clip, Iran's Fatah 2, which is what I believe it's called, hypersonic missile, has breached the Iron Dome and, struck in Jerusalem. And I mean, since this, U.S. Israeli-Iran conflict that started last weekend, those 1948ers over in the Holy Land have been getting touched, and there has been casualties, even though it's hard to tell with the Western mainstream media, the official numbers, because they're all over the place. Right now they're saying 28, 1948ers have been killed, and, I believe some of it, I don't know if those exact numbers include these figures, but they've been saying, 4 IDF reservists have been deleted, and a missile hit a command center that took out some 1948er generals. So, those 1948ers are definitely getting touched. And that's, plus this clip is just another indicator that those people over in the Holy Land are not the true children of the Most High. The true children of the Most High are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Hebrew Israelites, while those people over there are Hebrew Edomites of the tribe of Amalek. And as we're going to get into with a few precepts in this lesson, they do not fit anything that the Israelites would be going through prophetically when they were back in the Holy Land. But let's play this clip. And just keep in mind, this, even though it's an illustration, you see the land of Israel, missiles flying everywhere, buildings on fire. Iron Dome failed. Iran's Fatah 2 hypersonic missile strikes synagogue and deletes 9 1948ers. No air defense on Earth can stop this weapon. Just like that. Let's play one more time. Hey, you 1948ers and you Americans just don't got it like that anymore. Again, the Western media is, of course, heavily propagandizing things, but this isn't such an easy conflict that the U.S. and the 1948ers thought they were going to get themselves in. And it's only, going to get worse as we get closer and closer to the finale of World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, when Iran or Persia is going to have their main ally, Gog or Russia, come to their defense, as it says in Ezekiel chapter 38, though, we're not there yet. Before we get to the true end of things, we got to wait for the mark of the BEAST, which is the micro C-hip implant in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18, to be rolled out and mandatorily implemented. But, regardless, as we just saw in this clip, which let's play one more time. Those 1948ers got touched and 9 of them got sent to the spirit world. Well, let's see what the prophecies have to say when the children of Israel are back in the Holy Land and see if 1 + 1 = 2. This is Isaiah chapter 60, verse 18. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. And, we can clearly see that right off the bat, this doesn't line up with what's been taking place over the past week and what we just saw in that clip. A violent missile strike and destruction and wasting within thy borders, and 1948ers getting sent back to the spirit world. This is Isaiah chapter 65, verses 17 to 19. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. And this doesn't mean a literal new earth appearing out of nowhere. This just means a refreshed earth. Everything going back to like the Garden of Eden, which is going to begin to take place when the true children of Israel, are back in power, back in the Holy Land, because we're going to govern this earth under the laws, statutes, and commandments, unlike, what, the current rulers, these Edomites, which those 1948ers are a part of, are doing everything clean contrary to the scriptures. Hence why this whole planet is in an uproar and, just a trap house. And the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. These wicked times we're currently living in under the wicked, as it says in Proverbs 29, verse 2. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, the people shall rejoice. This world and the people in it will finally be at peace when the true children of Israel are back in power. No big steam files, no chemtrails, GMOs, wars, cell phone and Wi-Fi radiation, automation, the alphabet lifestyle, feminism, any of those things. Verse 18, but be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing and her people a joy, which we clearly see is not the case with those 1948ers over there. Ever since that war in Gaza, a couple of years ago up until now, more and more people and more countries have been condemning and turning against those 1948ers. Benjamin Milkowski, Benjamin Netanyahu, he's currently got a arrest warrant out for him from the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Verse 19, and I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people, and the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. Again, clearly not the case. With these 1948ers that have been deleted, best believe that there's been weeping and crying, from their family members and those in the immediate vicinity of those strikes, terrified for their lives. This is Micah chapter 4. I'm going to start at verse 1. And right off the bat, what does the header read? Peaceful latter days. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains. And mountains can represent governments. So the government, or the kingdom of Israel, kingdom of Yasharallah, the kingdom of heaven, being established and being the sole ruling power in the world to come, that new heaven and new earth. And it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations, many heathen nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh and to the house of the power of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. And we clearly see that the people of the earth aren't wearing tzitzis, little hats, Shirley Temple curls, speaking Yiddish, or following after the Talmud. Like I just said, ever since that war in Gaza, more and more people and countries have been turning against the 1948ers and repudiating them. For the law shall go forth of Zion and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Another cut, because what do you have over in the land of Israel? They've got a parliament and constitution with voting in it, like the Western system, which is completely separate and not a part of a biblical governing body in the scriptures. And you've got Tel Aviv, which is known as Pink City, which is one of the alphabet pride hotspots on the face of the earth. When the true children of Israel are back in power, this earth is truly going to be governed under the laws, statutes, and commandments. But listen to this, verse 3. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Keep this part in mind. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And, we've got several conflicts and wars going on concurrently. You've got the war in Ukraine. You've got Afghanistan and Pakistan at war. And you've got this current situation with the U.S., Israel, and Iran. And World War III, which will go nuclear, hasn't even taken place yet. So, if you have any type of comprehension skills or the spirit is dealing with you, you can clearly see that those 1948ers over there, have nothing to do with the prophecies dealing with what the true children of the Most High would be doing and going through when they were back in the Holy Land, contrary to what Mike Huckabees has to say about those people over there. But they do fit the prophecies dealing with what the Edomites would be doing in these last days. This is Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which is the Greek way of saying Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession. And how did those 1948ers get the land? With the groundwork being laid after World War I, with the Balfour Declaration, which, the Rothschilds had a hand in with the British Empire. And then after World War II, further cementing the deal with the Israeli Declaration of Independence and the state of the 1948ers being created. And immediately you had the Arab-Israeli War. Then in the 60s, the 6 Days War. Fast forward to today with this current situation we're in, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. And if you understand biblical prophecy, the Lord is going to be the one that's going to bring the children of Israel back into the land. His son, Yahushai, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, beaming them up on the chariots, when this great nuclear destruction takes place. And then New Jerusalem, as it says in Revelation 21, coming down from heaven to lay down the law. It definitely wouldn't be by any UN or U.S. charters or declarations or documents or anything like that. But now I'm going to close it out. In Joel chapter 3, I'm going to start at verse 1. Because everything you're seeing right now, which, we're coming into the end game, is leading towards this conclusion. The nations, the heathen nations, will be judged. For behold, in those days and in that time, which we're currently living in, the last days, the last seconds of the last days, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, the southern kingdom, or the so-called Negroes, so-called black African American, Haitians, West Indians, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, the elect of all 12 tribes coming back together. Verse 2, I will also gather all nations, the United States of America, Iran, the state of Israel, Russia, China, Turkey, these Arab nations, the NATO nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. And that word plead is shafat, which means to judge and punish. Why? Whom they have scattered among the nations. Hey, the Middle Passage, the transatlantic slave trade, which those 1948ers had a major hand in. They were, major owners in the slave ships, and a lot of those plantations were owned by 1948ers, and parted my land, which the land is currently parted between Idumea, that appointed it into their hands, and then you've got those so-called Arabs or Palestinians or Ishmaelites there. You've got Cushites or Ethiopians there, a bunch of nations that don't belong there. But Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is about to gather all nations and plead with them, judge them for the controversy of Zion, and, set things right. And you 1948ers, as well as you other heathens living there, are about to get evicted from that land by nuclear fire. And what we saw is just an appetizer for things to come. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. So as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.